Thank you, Ambassador. It is an honor for me to give the floor to Daniel Ortega Saavedra, President of the Republic. He will make a presentation online.
Gracias. Querido compañero, querido hermano,
Thank you, brothers, comrades. Miguel Díaz-Canel, President of the Republic of Cuba. I send my greetings to the heroic people of Cuba, the people of Martí and Fidel, and people of Raúl. Hugs to you, Raúl, always. All our love for the Bolivarian people, which is represented here by their legitimate president, Comrade Nicolás Maduro Moro, who today continues hoisting Bolivar's flag, who that was also raised by their eternal commander together with Fidel, and they both established and created ALBA. Chavez, Fidel, they created ALBA, and they opened for us new paths in the Americas. These new paths
desde las montañas de Nicaragua en el año 1928.
These were paths that were followed by Sandino and tried to open, in fact, Sandino in 1928, when he addressed Latin American presidents of that time, trying to also establish a community of Latin American states at that time. That means that Sandino was presenting and speaking to Latin American presidents so that we could create Bolivar's dream, the Latin American motherland nationality, Latin American nationality. This is how he put it. And from Chipoton, fighting the North American troops in March on 1929, Sandino sent letters to presidents in Guatemala, Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Peru, Brazil, Bolivia, Uruguay, Chile, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and obviously Mexico. And in this project, he stated the conference of the 21st states that were part of the Latin American community declared that the Monroe Doctrine must be abolished, which enabled the U.S. to intervene in the internal policy of Latin American nations. This is 1929. And later President of the Luis Arce did some kind of tour all along the different attacks conducted by the United States that they were launching against our peoples, from invasions, embargoes, wars, and coup d'etat, destructions of government, sanctions,
agresiones de todo tipo.
All kinds of attacks.
No han parado de practicar.
They have never stopped
Doctrina Monroe.
the Monroe Doctrine. They have not renounced to the Monroe Doctrine in the name of democracy. What they actually do is to impose an international policy that is imperialist and tyrannical, terrorist. Because a power like the United States attacking, invading small states like Grenada, that led to the murder, assassination of Bishop Revolutionary Brother, and invasions on Panama, the Dominican Republic. Arce was conducting a tour all along these attacks, all the way until these coward blockade and terrorist blockade. These are serious crimes. The blockade for over 60 years against the people of Cuba. It is a terrorist state violating the human rights of our entire nation. And repeating these kinds of policies against the Republic of Venezuela. And if you go more, trying to murder President Nicolás Maduro, trying new coups like the one they launched against our brother Hugo Chavez, and then the people reacted to that with their strength. That means imperialism has not changed. The essence of imperialism is there. Their essence is totally criminal. There are no frontiers for them. And in the meantime, they think that the time has come for establishing total hegemony of the American imperialism in the whole world. Not just it is not just the Monroe Doctrine in what they have called the backyard or the front yard, but now they're trying to turn the whole planet into what is the backyard of the American power. And they wanted to turn, they also wanted to turn part of their backyard Asian nations, and they want to submit the Russian Federation, and they want to submit the Chinese Republic. I would say they're living times of schizophrenia, thinking that the time has come for domination of the whole planet, and they have failed to realize that is no longer possible. That our America, after deep changes, So the appearance or the birth of ALBA with Petrocaribe, the friendliest project and the most noble project in our history, in our region's history. A project that saw the light to provide benefits to the most impoverished nations, to help with the well-being of the most impoverished nations, not to attack any nation. The idea of ALBA was not to attack anybody, any North American state. On the opposite, through Venezuela and the generosity of the Bolivarian Revolution, and with Chavez, they also provided solidarity with the impoverished, to the impoverished people of North America. That means that this is the most noble project. And under ALBA, we actually managed to turn into reality what was a dream for Bolivar, for Sandino, what was a dream for our people. We were able to create the community of Latin American and Caribbean states, CELAC. Consequently, it is not necessary to hold the Summit of the Americas, which is the summit of the empire. And the empire believes that there is still space for that kind of summit, where the empire called the countries in their backyard that had submitted to the Monroe's Doctrine. So the call was to order and excluded those countries that had decided to build their own paths. And which was the excluded nation? Cuba.
Un hecho extraordinario cuando bajo la demanda de los países latinoamericanos por fin se invitó a Cuba.
And there was an extraordinary moment when Cuba was finally invited to Panama. But later on, everything went back. And the world actually, and the world is actually a different one. What is being lived in the eastern regions and Europe, the war have that the war that the United States, heading NATO, has established against the Russian Federation, trying to hold or to get hold of Russia that Napoleon tried to dominate, and where Napoleon actually sank. Trying to get hold of Russia that the Nazis tried to dominate, Hitler, and had been encouraged by North American enterprises, where weapons were built and Hitler used to try to invade, to start invading Europe.
Hitler no es más que un resultado
Hitler is actually a result
de la descomposición
of the
del
decomposition
capitalismo
of
y de lo que
capitalism
ellos llaman su modelo democrático.
and what they call their democratic model.
Y Hitler también, el nazismo fue enterrado
And with
allá
Hitler, Nazism, the Nazi,
por la Unión Soviética.
with Hitler, the Nazis movement was buried by the Soviet Union, implying millions of human beings from that people who gave their lives to try to defend humanity. And in his craziness, in the craziness, we see the President of the United States and the leaders of the European community that have wanted to become Rambos. Bullets here, bullets there, providing bullets and weapons and sanctions, and everyone's getting crazy. They are actually destroying their own countries. They're actually destroying their own economies, and they are making lives more expensive for their own population, and they are acting against humanity. And they are actually trying to take control of Russia, but also to try to take control of China. And they started challenges against China when, in times when they destroyed agreements reached at the European community saying that China is only one nation. And we see thinkers, American thinkers, who were responsible for initiatives that led to relationships between the U.S. and China, like Kissinger, for example, questioning a policy of NATO, the United States, questioning the war that leads nowhere but the sinking of global economy, in times when new routes are being opened and new movements and associations are being built after the Cold War was over. And as a result of these new associations, we saw new associations here in this continent, CELAC. We must be proud that we have a Latin American and Caribbean unity in the midst of diversity, and that we respect our differences. And by respecting our differences, when we get together, everybody attends without any exception. And the fact is that the Summit of the Americas is no longer the weapon for the Monroe's Doctrine, because the Monroe Doctrine has no place here. The CELAC actually buried the Monroe's Doctrine. Latin America and the Caribbean is no longer for the Americans, it is for Latin Americans and Caribbean people. And from CELAC we're talking with the powers, with powers like the Russian Federation, like the Chinese People's Republic, India, other powers that we have in the world. That means those countries that have configured themselves, they already have a counterpart in the Americas, which is CELAC. And CELAC does not exclude anybody. And I am certain that CELAC will see the moment when CELAC invites the United States to a meeting. If they want to accept to talk in the same way other countries do, that will be their own problem. And this situation that we are living right now,
donde se está tentando contra la paz en el mundo.
In moments when peace in the world is at stake,
bueno, estoy seguro, estoy convencido,
I am convinced, I am sure
que esto va a concluir, va a finalizar,
I am sure this will conclude
con un cambio profundo,
with a deep change, profound change.
Donde
and in this change, imperialism will have to stop being imperialism. And NATO will have to stop being NATO trying to control the world. And they will have to understand once and for all that in order to live in this planet, which is our common cause, there is no other alternative but to recognize ourselves within a spirit of respect and under the principles of multilateralism. There is no more space for imperialism in our planet, or colonialism, or hegemonic positions. No space for that anymore. And we really are quite happy to know about this letter. This is a letter that has been addressed to President Biden. 15 congressmen, 15 North American congressmen, headed by Gregory Meck, President of the Foreign Affairs Relationship of the Chamber of Representatives, and where congressmen tell Mr. Biden Honorable Joseph Biden, President of the White House, we write to express our concern that the exclusion of governments of Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela from the Summit of the Americas to be held in Los Angeles could undermine the position of the United States in the region. The summit of this year, organized by the United States, from the first time since the inauguration in 1994, comes in a very critical moment for Latin America and the Caribbean, since the region continues to deal with the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and all sanctions is actually damaging global economy and even the American economy and affecting families in the U.S. as well, and the Caribbean population and the world. And the current impact of climate change. As firm believers in the diplomatic role of multilateral summits to face this common crisis, we believe that the exclusion of countries could endanger the future relationships in the whole region and jeopardize the ambitions proposed in the policies that your very administration suggested.
La construcción de un mejor mundo, la traducción.
The leaders of Mexico, Bolivia, Guatemala, Honduras have expressed their intention not to attend. CARICOM and Latin American communities have urged the U.S. government to not exclude any country from this summit. If we are committed to face the complex challenges that we have as a hemisphere, this summit must be inclusive in many ways, including the fact that we must be negotiators of good faith. We have been receiving messages in Washington. Our ambassador has been receiving messages. Today he sent us the last message he received. And our ambassador is told that either we do what they say or there will be more sanctions against Nicaragua. What do we tell them? We do not even talk in those conditions because we do not sell our souls or surrender ever. Ever. And congressmen say here, including approaching negotiators as negotiators, those countries that do not share our opinions. A fractured summit will impact negatively in our relationship with our allies in our region that have had a relationship with the U.S. as well as a non-invited nation. We believe that a policy of approaching these countries will have better results. And actually, we saw as good moments those times when talks between the two countries appear on migratory issues. The Summit of the Americas is a special opportunity to get together as a region and offer a platform for open dialogue. An invitation to Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela this year is not a support to the ideologies of these countries, but it is a regional approaching, and we expect that you reconsider the inclusion of these countries in the summit, and we also hope your government creates better conditions for bilateral relations. Thank you for your consideration. We expect your response. Gregory Wick, Jane McGovern, Barbara Lee, Adrian Speck, Bobby Rush, Raúl Grijalba, Andy Levin, James Chakoskin, Jesus Schultz Garcia, Juan Vargas, Mark Hokan, Getty McCollum, Peter De Pasio. Well, we can see that there is in the U.S. There will be many more Americans like this congressman that are intelligent people, decent people, reasonable people that are not like Rambo launching sanctions and killing everywhere. So, friends and brothers that are gathered here today in this anniversary of the alliance, in these complex conditions after the pandemic, we feel fulfilled. We feel full of energy that makes us stronger. We feel secure. We know the reason will prevail in the end. And it will be stronger. And we are certain that we will continue developing and strengthening ALBA, and from ALBA we will strengthen and developing this organization that has established in our America, which is the community of Latin American and Caribbean states. Long live ALBA.